Hi YouTube, this is Heather Laurie from specialneedshomeschooling.com. Today we're going to talk about special needs homeschooling. Can you homeschool your special needs child? Do you want to homeschool your special needs child? Is there going to be a more wonderful outcome? We're looking for something better for our children. All of us are. We love our kids. So is this it? Is homeschooling that option that you're looking for? I think it is. I love homeschooling. In fact, I have 5 children I homeschool. 4 of my kids are on the autism spectrum. All 5 have a genetic disease, so they have varying learning disabilities and medically fragile issues. I am homeschooling right now all the way up from junior year down through early elementary. One of my children is gifted, extremely gifted. I have some children who have dyslexia, dysgraphia, some slow processing. So we have a very unique array of learners in this house, and it's all happening. Learning happens every day, and it's a joy and a privilege to be part of it. But I want to be very clear here. I am a mom, and I am sharing with you from my experience raising my children. I am sharing with you from experience of being able to speak all around the country and see firsthand how this isn't just my family. This is many, many families all over the country who put their toe into the pool of homeschooling and just absolutely love it. We're in a very unique time of the year. This is that time between Christmas and New Year's and the end of the old semester where you finally got all of those grades. Say your child was in public school and you got the IEP and the commentary and the grading, and now you spent a week or so with your child realizing, did those grades really match what I think my child's learning? That can be a wake-up call. Unfortunately, there are schools and the movement towards making people feeling more inclusive and your children feeling like they're actually learning doesn't necessarily mean they are learning. It means that they may be getting a grade that is inappropriate to the information that is being retained. And you look at that as a parent and go, you know, I have higher standards. I have this glorious big picture. When you and I were told we were going to have children, or the adoption papers were there, however the Lord blessed you with your child, you developed this beautiful big picture, and part of that picture was to help produce an adult who is productive to the best of their ability. And if we are allowing a system, a public school system or a private school system, possibly a cyber schooling can do this just as easily, diminish and reduce what our children are truly learning, then are we making that big picture? So I want to encourage you that homeschooling is a very viable option. And the first step is prayer. You want to go into this very clear-headed. You want to go into this as a team, as a family. Oftentimes, I'm a very parent-led family person. I believe mom and dad should be the captains of the boat. They should be leading the. They should be out there leading the ship. But there comes times where you're going to need to ask your child, your middle schooler, your teenager, what is their input? Do you want to homeschool? There are times where it is unsafe for them to go back, even if they really, really want to go to high school and they want to go to prom and they want to go to homecoming, but you feel very strongly that is not the safe place for them. These are times where prayerfully you're going to have to step out in faith and say, This semester we are homeschooling. That's it. We're going to pour everything we've got into it. Everybody's energy is going into homeschooling, and we're going to do our very best. At the end of this semester, then we can reevaluate. Some of you, like me, I started kindergarten with my oldest, and we just fell in love, and we never turned back, and absolutely adored it. As more children came on, they just started picking up the books that their older siblings had, if they worked for the kids, and off we went. You need to find out what the law is in your state. What are you required to do? Are you required to send a notice of intent to your school board? Are you required to simply show up at the first day of school and clean out your child's locker and say, we're not going to be schooling here anymore, we're homeschooling, thank you? Do you need to close out your IEP? All of this depends on the state that you live in. Each state has its own laws. Now, this is where I said I'm a mom and I am not a lawyer. There are lawyer organizations out there. hslda.org is a wonderful organization that you can go to, and you can get an all-over view, an international view actually, of the homeschooling movement. You can become a member of it's kind of like an umbrella team where you pay in money, and if you were to have a problem during the year, boom, you've got someone on the phone. That happened to me once, years and years and years ago, and someday I will tell you the story, but today we're getting to the nitty gritty here. That's once, and I've been well over a decade homeschooling, and generally you do not run into problems. But I do recommend strongly, especially for special needs families, because homeschoolers are a special population. Special needs kids are a special population. If you have medically fragile children or developmentally delayed kids, again, all the antennas of the pediatricians, and then, like the ER if your child goes in with, a cut on their foot in the middle of the day when they should have been in school. Unfortunately, it could come up. So I would just much rather have an umbrella over my head and my family's head, safe and sound. You can the other places you can get your state law, and in fact these are relationships that I want you please make, are your state organizations, such as the state of Oklahoma has its own homeschooling organization, and you can find it very easily online on social media. One simple phone call later, you are talking to a homeschooler there in your state. They can hook you up with co-ops, which are like group meetings, group classes. You can get play groups, you can have support groups, you talk to a person who has been homeschooling in that state. So I please make friends with your state groups, make friends with your city groups. That is a wealth of information. Paperwork trail. Paperwork trail for some states is very important, and this goes back to your state laws. There are a few states out there who are very particular. They want how many days are you homeschooling, how many hours are you devoting to, like, say, history, things of that nature. Now, think out of the box here. We are homeschoolers. We are living and we are learning right here in our home, in our community. Sunday would not be considered my next door neighbor's school day, but it may be my children's school day because they're going to church choir, or maybe they're going to guitar practice afterwards and they're going to Bible study after that. Those are things that I have as part of my curriculum. So I'm going to count that as school. Now, my test for that, my litmus test is if I were standing at the front door And the superintendent of the county was standing there looking me eyeball to eyeball. Can I truthfully say my child learned that day for, like I was saying, choir, guitar, and Bible study? Yes, they did. Or we went to the we went down to the Smithsonian's. How could you not consider the Smithsonian's a beautiful learning experience? Count that as your days. Um, but what about the books? What about the therapy? I have a special needs child who has these intense sensory needs. What do I do about occupational therapy? What do I do about teaching them math? So let's separate these two, all right? You have your therapeutic learning. The therapeutic learning will be your speech, your occupational therapy, your physical therapy. I think you will find very pleasantly so that these items will mix right into and help the other side of learning, the more academic forms of learning. But if your child has sensory integration disorder, I highly recommend early occupational therapy. Get some brushing techniques, get some techniques going to help your child moderate their own sensory needs early so that when they're 10, 14, they have these skill sets that they can lean back on when sensory intensity occurs. So instead of perhaps on January 4th jumping into, oh my, what do I have to do for math? How about, all right, this week we're going to make sure that we're going to go visit an occupational therapist. We're going to go and we're going to walk through. I'm going to make sure you feel comfortable. We're going to talk with the occupational therapist, make sure they are comfortable with our learning style and that they're willing to set us homework for occupational therapy. Oh yes, you heard that, homework. You will cut down on the time of therapy. I think we easily cut a third off of our therapy sessions by having homework every single day. And that helped us create a sensory diet at home, and all of these wonderful, wonderful things occurred by doing this every day in this beautiful schedule, in this rhythm of life and homeschooling that worked wonderfully. Now, you're worried about the academics. I hear you. I get you. That's everybody wants to do that. I worry about it. I've done it a decade now. Okay, worrying's a strong word. I am always very alert and aware that learning is occurring. Now, I noticed as I was looking over my lesson plan that we did a lot of history the first semester. Now, this second semester, we're going to do a lot of science. I year-round homeschool because my children's processing and autistic tendencies and scheduling really require that. If they were to take a month to 3 months off, ooh, things fly apart at the seams pretty fast, and they devolve into tech. And while I have no problem with tech, my husband, that's how he makes his money. He is a computer administrator. Too much tech is too much tech, just like everything else in the world. Too many chocolates or cookies are going to give you an upset stomach. Moderation. So this is one of the ways that I keep all of these things in order as we have this nice schedule going. What I do is that you can look through YouTube, you can look through the blog on specialneedshomeschooling.com, and there are many styles of homeschooling, from a more traditional sitting at a desk, doing your work for 15 minutes, doing, written out work, things of that nature, then moving on, and then you get out the next book, just like you can, most of us experienced in school. There are very kinetic and learning, and you're doing your ABCs and your jumping jacks, and you've got your exercise ball going. Those are really, really, really great for those young kids, ADHD. Have your kids chew gum. So I have, for me and my comfort level, and given my health, I need to make sure I have a very strong structural background to our homeschooling. So I have Apologio science books. Very thorough, very structured, lots of additional work that my husband can just step right in and boom, science is there. Math this year, I've been using A+ Family Math online. Online programs can be a mixed blessing. Again, we're bringing the tech in, and I really want my kids to learn tech and to be thoroughly founded in their ability to deal with it. But it can be too much at times. And some children just do not process well when it's on a screen. Screens for some kids are entertainment purposes. So you're going to have to work with your kids a little bit here and there and figure this out. And you're going to have to nose around, find out what you are comfortable. What is your child comfortable with? What works best for your child? Try freebies online before you go spending first. All right? And I think you're going to like this last tip. Relax. You're there. Calm down. Okay, we've made the decision to homeschool, and we've made the decision not just to homeschool, but to learn where we live, to life school. We're going to learn these, instead of having life skills over here, and math over here, and therapy down here, oh, and how to deal with siblings over here. It's going to become this beautiful, beautiful structure to your life. It may take some time, and it may take some adjustment of scheduling and of finding the right curriculum, but you're going to find it, and I'm going to be here to help you. And we're going to walk through things, and I'm going to, I was sitting here writing notes. I want to talk about how to deal with multiple children with issues, how to deal with one child that has an issue, and then there are varying degrees of learning disabilities that you hear a lot about ADHD, a lot about more milder disabilities, but you know, I'm not leaving you out. Those of us who have to deal with more deeper issues, the kids that are probably going to be staying at home the rest of their life. How can we help them be productive? How can we help every child that God has blessed us with to be the most productive, the most diligent, the most wonderful children and young adults that we possibly can? So if you like this, please subscribe, hit the little thumbs up button. I'm still getting used to this, so please share me a little grace. And I would love to see you over on the blog at specialneedshomeschooling.com. And this is Heather Laurie signing off for now.